Welcome to Lesson 6, A New Language. In this lesson, we're going to study the language of chemistry, how to recognize the names and symbols, and what physical forms the elements represent. Elements are the basic building blocks of all matter. Some of the common elements that I have represented here are carbon, neon, chlorine, aluminum, and helium. To recognize these elements, we use something called chemical symbols. The chemical symbols are on the periodic table of the elements. Chemical symbols contain one or two letters. The chemical symbol for carbon is a capital C. The chemical symbol for neon is capital N, lowercase e. The chemical symbol for chlorine is capital C, lowercase l. The chemical symbol for helium is capital H, lowercase e, and the chemical symbol of aluminum is capital A, lowercase l. It is important to make sure that when the symbol is represented with a lowercase, that we use lowercase. We do not want to confuse two elements as a compound. Compounds are two or more elements that have been chemically combined in a specific ratio. For example, carbon is connected to two oxygens. The formula of this compound is capital C, capital O, followed by a subscript 2. Subscripts are defined down here on the bottom. Subscripts indicate how many atoms are in a chemical formula. For example, carbon has 6. There are 6 carbons in this formula. There are 12 hydrogens in this formula. And there are 6 oxygens in this formula. You can see that the symbols are represented with their corresponding element letter, taken from the periodic table. Another example of a compound is water. Water is 2 hydrogens, H2, followed by 1 oxygen. The 2 here represents that there are 2 hydrogens, which can be seen in the picture that there are 2 hydrogens. And the capital letter O is represented by the oxygen, and there is 1 oxygen. There is not a need to write the subscript 1 down below. If there is no number written down below, it is understood that we have only 1. Again, carbon and 2 oxygens, capital C, capital O, lowercase, or subscript 2, and water is going to be H2O. Compounds can come in all different shapes, sizes, and phases, and we're going to look at phases on the next slide. But an example of a compound is something represented here. This compound is C, lowercase u, followed by SO with a 4. This indicates that there is 1 copper, 1 sulfur, and 4 oxygen atoms present. Chemical formulas are compounds represented by a formula, and the subscripts tell us the number of elements in that formula. We will be studying 3 different phases of matter. We have the phase of matter of a solid, liquid, and a gas. Solids are something that is very compressed. They are smushed together. You can see how they're smushed down there. Liquid gives you a little bit more room to move around, but they still show somewhat of a general pattern. And a gas phase is where it's just crazy, like someone's at a party and these molecules are just jumping around at a party. These are called the states of matter. Elements on the periodic table come in all different states of matter. Mostly the periodic table consists of solids. There are a few liquids, and also there are gases. Some of the most common gases is our last row in the periodic table called the noble gases. To represent the states of matter in a chemical formula, we use symbols S for solid, L for liquid, G for gas. When we are writing an example of this, I would write for a solid, I could write H2O followed by a lowercase s. That represents water as a solid. To show water as a liquid, I could do H2O followed by a lowercase l. And finally, to show water as a gas, I would write H2O followed by a lowercase g. I see that I haven't really written them as lowercase, but these symbols here should be all lowercase. Aqueous is when we define something as, we could say any substance dissolved in water. I gave you the example of the Kool-Aid Man because it's a sugar packet and dyes dissolved in water. It does not have to be a colored liquid. It could be a clear and colorless liquid. Most things that we will be using in lab, anytime that we see a liquid, as long as it's not pure water, it'll be called aqueous, AQ, meaning dissolved in water. Again, all of the symbols written AQ, S, L, and G should be lowercase and a subscript. So if I could try to write one of them here, like the water, H2O, as much as the 2 is a subscript, so should the symbol be a subscript down below. Don't forget to look online on the chemistry calendar, and that is on the Math Science website under my name. The homework for lesson 6 is exercise 1 through 4 and question number 6. We are still in, now we're in section 2 of the alchemy unit, so that's where you will find it. Please bring in all your questions and your notes. I'll be checking your notes tomorrow in class and using any notes that you have taken from this lecture as an assignment stamp.